Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa and
Colette Tracy
here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Audible, Tiki Live, Rumble, GeoSan, Spreaker, and more. And the list kind of gets longer as we go because we are determined to splatter more hope and happiness on you. You are tuned into the very special series called Real Women Talk. So if you're a guy, you can still tune in and get some information about what goes on in the minds of women, scary or not. But it's always a delight to have my co-host. We are now every first and third Wednesday of the month. So Colette Tracy is a professor, author, coach, and social entrepreneur. Her book, Both Sides Now, has been developed into a course taught at Duke University, Carnegie Mellon, and American University. Please welcome back to my studio, Colette Tracy. So glad to have you back.
So glad to be here, always.
Yay. And we have a super duper topic today that Colette picked. So before she actually do a 30-second commercial in case people are tuning in and wondering if they want to stay for this on what we're going to be talking about. And then we'll go to our breakfast with the gratitude sandwich.
Sure. Well, we are going to talk about, like Dr. Marissa said, as far as women, with body images having maybe excess plastic surgery or going too far with it. We're going to talk about that. But I also want to talk about, on a very positive note, is that how older women, or women who are considered older, maybe over 40, are being so much better represented in entertainment and media and things. And, I really want to give a plug to our generation, right?
Even though I'm ageless.
Right. Me too, of course. So to say, we're not going quietly into that good night. So, yeah.
I like that. Absolutely. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Please do stream in. Multiple ways to do so now. Obviously, the central place is your free subscribe YouTube channel for Dr. Marissa Pay. That's PEI, like Prince Edward Island. But if you just Google Asian Oprah, you will find it. And then LinkedIn, which your colleagues are very active on, as well as Facebook. So tons of ways for you to chat and maybe get some ahas or give your 8 cents worth with us this morning. Now, I like to start almost every show of mine with breakfast together. And that is taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich. So 8 specific things that you are grateful for. Colette and I are going to tag team back and forth. So we have 4 each. So that comes from a practice from Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's now on the other side, who said that if you start your day with 5 specific gratitudes every single day, you will have a shift in the way you see life and the way your day goes. And I absolutely subscribe to that. So I do 8 though, because I'm a recovering overachiever, and 8 is a lucky number in Chinese. It's a homophone for good fortune. That's why we do 8. I don't know if you ever knew that, but now you know. There you go.
That's wonderful. I have to remember that.
So I'll start. I am grateful for my steadfast efforts to make sure that the sound and picture quality, it took me 20 hours this week. So fingers crossed, toes crossed that what was going on last week is not going on again. And I'm grateful that right now it's working.
Love that. I love that.
And you are grateful for?
Yes, I'm grateful for actually this very week starting my PhD, which is something that I have really wanted for a long time. And I've looked at that as a pinnacle, right, in education. So, and it's going to be, it's going to be a lot of work, but I am really, really thrilled and excited.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Congratulations. That's a big deal. I'm going to do that. I encourage all women. I'll just quick backstory. When I was trying to decide whether to get a master's or a PhD, and I tell all of my student mentees this, is that you don't have to get a PhD, but the credibility that comes with the doctor, like you don't have doctor in front of a master's. And when I was in Germany consulting, the difference in respect from Ich bin Marissa Pay and Ich bin Dr. Marissa Pay was like miles and miles. Same within Asia, especially in Asia when I was teaching there. So, but the downside, Colette, is what PhD stands for.
No, what does it stand for?
Okay. I love when people have never heard this. So BS is Bachelor of Science, right? Or Bull Shiitake. Okay. MS is Masters of Science or more shiitake. And PhD is just piled higher and deeper.
Yeah.
So you're going towards being piled higher and deeper, but it is a wonderful endeavor. So if you're debating out there, don't debate no more. Just go get it. All right. Gratitude number 3. I am grateful that I have had so many amazing experiences in my life, and I will continue to have more fabulous stops on the joyride of my life.
And I am thankful for this day, which Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say all the time. He would say when his feet first hit the floor, before he would start walking, he would be thankful for that. Yeah.
I'm grateful that I know how to make myself feel better. Last one.
Well, it's a beautiful day. So I'm going to say I'm grateful for this beautiful day.
And you are in Chicago.
The Chicago area. Yeah. I'm in Plainfield, which is a suburb of Chicago, but born and raised in Chicago.
That's very cool. So yes, we are. A bonus gratitude is the way technology can allow us to have this special series across the miles.
Yes.
Now let's go to the bottom of the bun. It's a little different than gratitude. It's called appreciation. And you are appreciating specifically things about yourself. The reason why we do this is we don't learn this very well at home or at school. We're told to behave a certain way, or we're starving for compliments or looking for love in all the wrong places. And we're rarely asked to appreciate things about ourselves. And that gets us into trouble. So I want you to exercise that muscle with me every morning. 8 specific things that you like about yourself. All right, Colette.
All right. My adaptability. Yeah.
Great. My flexibility. I'll go off yours.
And
you.
And my ability to understand others, and if I can't, just to do my best to meet with them and connect with them where they're at.
My fashionability.
Oh, I have to agree for you and me.
Okay, there, you get it too. Yeah. So it's back to me. I appreciate my sense of humor.
Mm.
And last one.
I appreciate my ability to bounce back.
Mm. I appreciate the ability to laugh at myself.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. Breakfast with Dr. Marissa and Colette Tracy. Thank you for taking a bite of our gratitude sandwich this morning. And now we're going to dive into the topic. And Colette, kind of give me the background of how you came up with this topic and what you saw, and so that people are in the same frame as you.
Great. Well, I'm just seeing so many women uh, at midlife, say starting from 40 on, okay, and there's no end really. We're just that's kind of the middle of the sandwich. But I've just seen a lot of them actually coming into popularity again, doing new things of our generation, like female musicians like Belinda Carlisle, and just different women, maybe from the 80s, that are gaining significance once again. And also in movies, right? I love movies. And I'm always thinking about how women are represented in the movies. And I've always followed in Hollywood how a lot of women said, when you hit 40, that's the end for you. And reading some things and, doing a little research too, that's changing, and I look at our generation as really doing that. Some great movies out there that cute and heartwarming and things like that, but really sending a message that the older woman today is, we're talking 50 over 50 in Forbes. So I mean, we're in Hollywood. So I just think it's a positive thing to look at, because I think so many times we do look at ourselves. You can see in the mirror when you're looking at yourself somebody that other people are not even seeing because of your own perceptions of who you are. And I think the more we show in entertainment and media, the fact that, it's not over when you get older. It's not over. It's not over till it's over. So I love that really, it gives me hope and makes me feel very positive. Yeah.
Great synopsis. Yeah, uh, uh, speaking of, you said Belinda Carlisle, Judy Collins is doing a concert at the Saban Theater, and that is going to be on. Do a little, because they're my wonderful sponsors. I'll be at
Oh,
that show,
wonderful.
Saban Theater in Beverly Hills, the 15th of October. And I actually am going to give 2 tickets away today to that show.
Wow.
So if you are if you could actually fly in for a little vacation, but if you would like 2 tickets to Judy Collins, and if you kind of know that name, but you're not sure, let's see. Isn't it
Yeah. Oh,
rich? That the Send in the Clowns. I
beautiful.
love that.
Yeah.
But she will be performing October 15th, and ageless she is, and her music, and Both Sides Now, and fabulous. So the first person to go to drmarissa.life and in the subject line put Send in the Clowns, you will get 2 tickets to the show. So yes, when you were speaking about how women have been now more represented in the older category, it reminded me of, there was a time in Hollywood where that wasn't true, right? There, almost every movie had some young, hot woman, right? That was the appeal, and there were very few roles for older women. And just watching the actresses age and that respect, Judi Dench, the respect for the older actress, watching Marilyn Streep. I love Meryl Streep because she doesn't try to look anything than she is, any age than she is. And I have to say, I love movies too, and I have a AMC. I need to get them as a sponsor. One of those A+ movie packages.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning of every movie, there's an actress on there, and I'm not going to say her name because it's not gossip. But every time she comes on, she's in front of every single movie because she's part of the opening. And she's had plastic surgery to the point where she looks like that Catwoman, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I said the thing about plastic surgery, because it's wonderful that acting and arts and all that respect the older woman, but I think it's so important that it has to start from here. And when I
Mm-hmm.
see that much plastic surgery, I think to myself, someone is trying to is not good where
Mm-hmm.
they are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how's
Mm-hmm.
that?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're trying to recapture or stay in or preserve. And
Mm-hmm.
every time I say preserve, it's like that, in science class when you put those fetuses in the
Mm-hmm.
formaldehyde. That,
Yeah.
to me, that is what, and if you do plastic surgery, I'm not, whatever works for you. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the principle is, if I think there's a balance between looking the best that you can look
Mm-hmm.
and or trying to be or look something that you're not. Or,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just, well, I will say this. I loved, continue to love Renee Zellweger. And
Mm-hmm.
she was an amazing actress. She had that period of just hit after hit. And then she got plastic surgery and she doesn't even
Mm-hmm.
look like herself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that. And
I,
there's several other, women, and it's like, wow. I wish people could see.
mm-hmm.
I did try Botox once,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember walking in, and the woman who was the assistant,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, wow. It
Mm-hmm.
it was it was just like gone wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
I said to the doctor, I said, "Are you okay with that? Like, I'm sure you're giving it to her. So are
Mm-hmm.
you okay? Do you see what I'm seeing?" And he says, "I can't control what people want. I
Mm-hmm.
just do it." And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, that's the last time, the first and last visit for Botox. So there's
Mm-hmm.
definitely that.
Yeah, I do agree about that, Dr. Marissa, because I think, and to some extent, I want to be clear about that too. But first things first. Really, I think that we can get carried away with that, and like you say, it is a self-image thing, and the problem is how you see yourself, you know, and sometimes it's really hard, one way or another, good or bad, to be realistic about how you look. These women that are beautiful, beautiful actresses and things, we say, you don't need that. You don't need that. You're beautiful. But the whole thing is, how does she feel about herself, right? And I think that there's so much competition in Hollywood, and I mean, not that I'm saying I understand Hollywood, but I do understand the feeling of never being enough. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes that's the reason maybe women get carried away with that, is because they're not good with themselves. And yes, they have a ton of scrutiny coming from the constant, I'm sure, and that does not help, and it probably makes it a lot worse. But on the other hand, if you've got a woman who is healthy, overall pretty healthy with self-esteem, and wants to improve herself to some way or another, and it's not, getting carried away, where it's a healthy kind of thing. Like you said, you tried Botox. I've never tried anything. I'm not opposed to it either, though. If I ever came to the day where I felt like, yeah, I need this, or this is really bothering me, I might consider it. Um, and of course, I'm not in Hollywood. I don't have to worry about, and I'm obviously beyond a certain age. So, but it's all about what makes you feel good and being enough for yourself. Someone should tell these women, that, look, you're beautiful. You are respected. You are admired. Stop trying to chase after this ideal of perfection. You know why? And I think you said also that you used to be an overachiever, or you are an overachiever, and that's part of it too. And I can certainly relate to that, you
Yeah.
know. And I think that but again, when I'm overachieving now today, it's because it's a passion. It's a lot different for me than it was maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So I kind of look at it that way. I'm healthy with myself, and I'm still wanting to have, it's like a kid in a candy store kind of thing with my career, or my activities and interests, but it's for different reasons now.
Mm-hmm.
and and
Mm-hmm.
and my thought is that really, if you're healthy emotionally, if you have a a clear picture of who you are, or you have a good picture of who you are, and you want to do that, it's okay, I think. But you have to be careful of getting into that mode where it's never enough. And I think it's all about balance, just the way you are talking about, the doctor of balance, Doc Balance.
Mm-hmm.
So it is all about balance in my
Mm-hmm.
mind.
Yeah,
And that,
absolutely. 100% agree. There has to be that middle ground. There has to be, because I think image is an
mhm,
inside out job.
it
Because
is.
I can have people say, you're so beautiful, you're so blah. And I used to say to myself, if I could just feel about myself 20% of how other people saw me or said they saw me, I'd be good. Because I always had that voice inside my head that said, you're not good enough. You're not as pretty as, you're not as smart as, you're not as whatever, successful as. And that voice of never enough that you
Mhm,
were talking about is a horrible taskmaster, because
mhm,
then nothing that you achieve, no matter what size you get down to, no matter what shape you are,
mhm,
you cannot be happy with yourself. And
mhm,
I don't think you can ever be 100% happy with
mm-mm.
yourself. I think it's an
I agree.
88% happy with yourself. And so that's my gauge. And I think I told you in February on Valentine's Day, I took a good look in the mirror and I was not happy with my body size and my
Mhm,
body shape. And I
mhm,
wasn't 88% happy.
mhm,
So I set forth to go and do something with that. And what's interesting is I lost 27 pounds, which I was really thrilled about.
mhm,
And then I regained. I went to Canada. My mom almost died. There were butter tarts. And then when I came back, there was this, I don't know if I really want to do this again. I really, it's work, and, but I just gave myself I gave myself like 10 days. And then I started because the project is Love Me 1.0
mhm,
and this is Love Me 2.0. So I'm
mhm,
back on, I've lost 3 pounds again. So, I'm still 4 above what I was, but it's the next, and I think that if I know that I am doing what I can
mhm,
to feel good about myself, that's the most important thing. Because when we don't act on our own behalf and
mhm,
sit and eat bonbons and pull the covers over and don't take the walks and don't drink the water, we don't feel good about it. So nobody has to say anything.
mhm,
You don't feel good about it.
mhm,
And that self beat upness
mhm,
is really not useful.
mm-mm,
So for me, I know it's an inside out job. I
mhm,
know that. And also balancing that out with, I'm never going to look like my modeling pictures. I did 8 years
mhm,
of modeling
mhm,
when I used to walk, and I was very unhealthy. Walk in the agency, they grab your arm and say lose that, and all of that stuff was just horrific. But it got me to the body there's a little snapshot of it in a
mhm,
frame. And
mhm,
I've thought about taking it down because it almost feeds into that unrealistic expectation of
mhm,
what I should look like.
mhm,
But and when people go, "Was that you?" I almost want to say, "Fork you." What are you saying, that I can't look like that? But I know they're just being kind
mhm,
in a weird way. And
mhm,
but
mhm,
it is balance. It is a self discovery. If you're listening in right now and I'm wondering who I am speaking with today, this is our very special series called Real Women Talk
mhm,
on Take my advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. That was a station break. I guess we could go and just do a quick commercial and come back. I have my fabulous co-host Colette Tracy, author, professor. She's going and getting her PhD now, and we're talking about how you can feel better. We're going to come back and go into solution on how you can feel better about yourself as we age here on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Welcome to Balanced Tai Chi Gong. My name is Dr. Marissa Pei. For the next 28 minutes, we will be slow dancing with the universe in a moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. Just follow the sound of my voice and move with me as I guide you through this ancient wisdom through New Thought practice. As a corporate psychologist, I created this practice in response to my life and those of my clients. We were professional, high achievement-oriented, multitasking control freaks and exhausted. No matter how many successes, it was never enough. That, coupled with a painful life experience, led me on a quest to find another way to live and back to my Chinese roots. If you practice regularly, I can promise you that it will impact all health vortexes. Body, mind, spirit, soul. You will be in a place of balance and inner peace the way we were created. 谢谢.
Be my partner, dance with me, just hold on. I will.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome back. You are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, where if you free subscribe, you will get an alert every weekday morning at 8 a.m. for shows, different series. Today is Colette Tracy and I, Real Women Talk. Tomorrow is Straight Talk with Sam Works and yours truly. And then Friday is Fired Up Fridays with Cynthia Kahi. So there's just plenty to choose from. Mondays and Tuesdays are my shows with guests. So just keep it here. You can also, once you free subscribe, access my red carpet playlist with fabulous interviews with Quincy Jones, Halle Berry. I have one that I've been showing on my social. Thanks, Colette, for saying Doc Balance is my Instagram. Everywhere else is Dr. Marissa. And I just put up an interview with Crystal Gale. And some people didn't know, as well as me, that she is Loretta Lynn's younger sister. In fact, she's number 8. And or one of the ones near that and Loretta Lynn, there's 18 years separating them. So let's do a collective breath in through the nose and releasing peace, healing, comfort to all those who miss, especially the family of Loretta Lynn, including Crystal Gale. And just such gratitude. She was such an amazing pioneer as a woman, speaking of aging women who just aged so gracefully and continued with her craft and blessing us all with her music. So that interview is available on my YouTube channel as well. We're here talking about aging and women and self-love in that process and being comfortable with who we are, also identifying when that breaks down. And we're going to spend the rest of the show now talking about how we, if we're not in that place of feeling good about ourselves, some of the strategies that we use to get there. So Colette, why don't you kick that off? What do you do when you wake up and you don't, and I call them, I have a fat and ugly attack. And now, that I'm ageless, it's a fat and ugly and old attack. So what do you do when that happens?
Well, I think about it a lot, really, because I think I catch myself sometimes looking in the mirror and saying, "Oh, that's an old lady," right? And or seeing different body parts, especially when you're on camera, I'm sure you know, Dr. Marissa. So I think that I try to tell myself some things like, who are you comparing yourself to? Okay. And my mother, God rest her soul, she always seemed very healthy in her self-esteem and her self-confidence. And she always said that she would never compare herself to really much younger people, because it's like apples and oranges. And so I always thought that was very wise, and not that we really want to or should compare ourselves to anyone, but we know we do. And I think you have to be realistic about how you look at this point in your life. And I think a lot of times it's our longing to go back. And of course, physically, I would say, emotionally, I would never want to go back. I'm loving this time. But, physically, of course, like you, I was in my 30s. Oh my goodness, 20s. I was very, very thin and, but, yeah, I think I tell myself, I look at who I am now and try to appreciate myself. But I'm not going to lie, some days that's hard. Some days you're not able to do that. And you just have to go through and do the best you can on those days. But, there's always tomorrow, to wake up and feel differently. And that's the greatest thing. And, you go ahead and you tell yourself, look, I'm not doing too bad. Right. And even if you compare yourself to women of your age and you still feel like you're falling short, then I think you need to say, you need to literally find ways to affirm yourself. I do use different methods for affirmation and such, because we all need it, and especially in today's world. And I also think, and I put this in my book, Both Sides Now, Reflections for Women at Midlife, it's the culture, right? We've talked about this many times on the show. How were we raised? In the generation, right? We had to be perfect, and that's why so many of us have this perfect obsession, right? Being perfect, doing everything, being everything to everybody, having everything, and we look at this stage of life, and things are changing a little bit. Right. And, but then we jump to the conclusion that it's all over. And, it's really trying to be, more practical with ourselves, and understanding who you are and self-loving, that's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. When I wake up with a fat and ugly and old attack, the first thing that I do is the gratitudes, because that will take me out of that negative self-talk. And I go to a practice that there's a tape on YouTube. It's free. Love Your Body by Abraham Hicks. And it points out that, I love this body that takes me around to experience all the things that I love in the world. I'm grateful for the mind I have. I'm grateful that I don't have to tell my body how to process food. I'm grateful that, I have a way to walk around. And then when I work with my coaching clients who are just determined to have a bad day because something's going wrong, and if I can't, if the tools aren't working, I have them go watch some inspiring videos from my speaking partner, Jessica Cox, who was born without arms. And she's the first armless woman pilot to solo fly. She is a 5 or how many degree black belt. Nick, hashtag limitless. He has no arms and no legs. And so, there's ways, if the tool's called ICBW, it could be worse. and then that kicks me into, I love my hair. I love my, the fact that I can look a little younger than I actually am. I'm grateful that I can work out and get my body into the shape that I approaching it. And it's 88% of the time. So when I do fall off, as you're saying, I don't beat myself up. I just go, well, I must be in my 12%. And I don't have to wait until I wake up the next morning. It's a tool that I taught my kids when we got into a fight. We would have the fight, and then we would say, after all the cooling off and everything, can we start this day over again?
That's great.
So you don't have to wait until you go to bed. So that way you can reset. You have to allow the emotions and all of that with yourself or with others. But then to say that is so, it's like a clincher. That way you don't have to lose the whole day to a bad mood.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think, I think for me, I always try to find ways to, I love music. My music is blaring all the time. In fact, I've been on Zoom before where it's like, oh gosh, I got to turn that music off. So I love that. Right. And I love YouTube, and I love motivational speakers and things of interest, and movies definitely will perk me up. But sometimes I find for me that if I feel that way about myself and my best, tactics or things that I'm trying to do don't work, I really try to focus on something else. So that's kind of something too with the movies and the music and such. Because sometimes for me, if I feel that way, and not say it takes another day, but I do, but it doesn't necessarily, if I distract myself or think about other positive things, it still doesn't go, the body image doesn't go away, but emotionally I'm changing the landscape. So not to focus on it. So that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. I also do something that I know you do too, is I trick myself by getting dressed up every day.
Every day. Yeah.
Jinx. But 1 bottle pop, 2 bottle pop, 3. Do you remember that when we were kids? So I never understood that. But anyways, it was kind of fun. Every day. And people go, why aren't you always dressed up? And I have a very easy answer for that. It makes me feel better. I just feel better. So if you're schlepping around in your sweatpants, you are definitely not doing yourself a service, because when you care, well, I don't have anything to wear. That's bullshit talkie. You have an entire wardrobe of clothes. And I actually will say, those outfits that you reserve for special occasions, wear those. Janine Roth talks about that in her book, fabulous book. By the way, if you haven't watched my interviews with Janine, she's come on the show 3 times.
I didn't know that.
Incredible woman who really, my favorite book is not her bestseller, Woman, Food, and God. My absolute favorite book that actually, this is when I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Because when I first started the show, who am I? Nobody knows who I am. In media, they knew who I was professionally as an organizational psychologist, but not in media. And her book, When You Eat at the Refrigerator, Pull Up a Chair. Love the title. So
Yeah.
it didn't go bestseller for some reason, or it may have since, but at the time it was not a bestseller. I don't even know how I came across it, but it has very beautiful short vignettes of how little tools to help. And so I loved the book so much that I'd seen her on Oprah. She was Oprah's diet coach for a bit.
Mhm.
And I emailed her out of the blue and just said, love your book. Would you like to come on my show? And I was in my maybe second year. I'm 9.5 years now. And she personally emailed back and said I would love to. Not only did she
Wow.
come back again, she shared a very personal story. She lost $10 million to Bernie Madoff.
Wow.
Bernie made
Wow.
off with 10
Yeah.
millions of
Oh
her
my
dollars.
God.
Yeah. So
Wow.
she shared her strategies on how to deal with that kind of loss. So I don't even know where I was going with that, but
Wow.
I think she says, oh yes, she says, get dressed up. Just get dressed up in your favorite. I overdress and I am proud of it. I overdress for every single occasion because it just makes me feel good. So that is definitely a strategy that both Colette and I
Yeah.
jinxed each other in saying.
And lots of times, when you're dressed up, people will say, why are you so dressed up or whatever? And it's almost like you feel there were times when I would feel bad, like being everybody else around was dressed in casual or whatever. And I like to dress up and I would feel bad about that. And I don't anymore. It's like, this is who I am. I love it. And I really, again, I love the process, picking out my clothes, thinking about my jewelry, my makeup, it's a creative expression for me. Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally 1000%
Yeah.
agree. I love that feeling of seeing an outfit that I absolutely love and then buying it. And then what's even better than that is when I come home and I find an outfit that needs to be matched with that. That's even better. And I was this weekend, I spoke on the Anaheim Convention Center stage with the STEAM Symposium, and I had on my Oprah pants. When I met Oprah, I was introduced to her as the Asian Oprah by Michael Bernard Beckwith, and she looked down at my pants, looked back at me, and said, "Nice pants." Now, I've always had problems finding a top to go with those pants, and so I would not break them out very often. And then a friend of mine in choir, Cynthia, had this fabulous top on. And I said, "Where did you get that?" And she told me online that I don't remember, but I'll have to get them to be a sponsor and then I'll mention their name. No, I'm just and I ordered one for my birthday in August for myself. And it's fabulous. And then when I was getting ready, that process of feeling good and getting ready, and it matched so perfectly. I was so thrilled. And the video and the clips and everything, go to my social. I have to say, I looked pretty darn good.
And
On
I like that
stage.
you can say that. I like that you
Yes.
can. I love that
Yeah.
you can say that.
It's a
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
There's still a little part of me, that critical voice I call Rose that says, who do you think you are? And how dare you say that? But you know what? If we can't approve of ourselves, how the fork do we expect other people to? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I find too, some people could say, well, you're spending a lot of money on clothes or whatever. But you know what? You can mix and match. That's a skill to learn how to make outfits that you've had look new. We could talk about that, I'm sure, forever, you and I. And they say, well, I can't afford that. Well, maybe you can buy, or you can afford to buy a couple pieces of, paparazzi costume jewelry that looks amazing, or you could buy a new lipstick. But anything like that, and I'm a lipstick freak. I love lipstick. Even if you can't afford a whole new look, just a couple things that are going to show yourself that you really care about you. And maybe fashion is not for everyone. I get that. So, but again, it's something that you do for you that really makes you feel good, expressing yourself. And I have a theory too. This is just a theory. I haven't looked at anything or whatever. But I really think that people get more creative as they age. And I think, and my logic, or my own logic, I guess, for that is more comfort with yourself, and because in order to be creative, you have to have a little bit of a free spirit type thing, you know, and looking at creativity in different ways. There's all different ways to look at being creative. So, but I think that, yeah, that's part of it. That for me, fashion is creativity. It's a part of
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I will second that, actually. I believe one of the reasons we are more creative when we get older is because we are comfortable with our sensitivity. And I don't know
Mm,
about you, but growing up, everybody would say, "You're so sensitive. Why are
mhm,
you so sensitive? Quit
mhm,
taking things so personally." And I used to hate it when people said that. And it
mhm,
would make me even madder until I was told, or I saw the research that said that sensitivity is 100% correlated with creativity.
mhm, mhm,
So as I became more comfortable and loved my own sensitivity,
mhm,
so when people say, "You're so sensitive," I say, "Thank you," because that automatically is a compliment for my
mhm,
creativity. And
mhm,
I absolutely embrace that side of me. And that's the other voice. I talked
mhm.
about the voice, the critic that says, "You're not all that." There's another part of us, the little sensitive little girl that got hurt when
Mhm.
she was little.
For
And
sure.
that
Yeah.
sensitive side of us, when we embrace that, then
Mhm,
the creativity can come out,
mhm,
whether it's in fashion, whether it's in art, whether it's in music, whether it's in poetry, whether it's in
mhm,
journaling, whether
mhm,
it's in writing, whether it's, just loving all the different aspects of the experiences in life. That
mhm,
sensitivity, observing,
mhm,
being delighted. That's
mhm.
all sensitivity. You can't
Yeah.
be delighted if you're not sensitive to the things that are around you. You
Yeah.
can't be in wonder if you're not sensitive to what's around you that you're exploring. So great point, Colette.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Being, sensitive and creative in whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
We're running out of time as usual. So any final words that you have on this topic? Maybe recap us on sort of, we've come full circle.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I think, I had a few movies that I was going to mention, but one is Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. And the thing about it, what I love about it is she's a woman of a certain age, and she spends her life, working with others. She's a working gal, and helping others and doing so much for others. And she has her own dream, and she finally really comes into fruition with it. She gets to see it come true, and it changes her, right? It changes her. It changes the way she feels about herself, and she holds her. She had people in her life that were disrespectful and not treating her right. She straightened that out at the end of the movie, and she becomes. So I think older women, we have an idea, or people have an idea that we say what's on our mind, and whatever. And but that's good. That's a good thing. We've spent our whole lives as young women feeling like we're behind a mask and we can't say what we really want to say. So I love that about the movie, and that's kind of the point I want to make. When we get more comfortable, whatever that is for us, okay, we should feel able to express that at this, especially this age. And if you're not doing it now, please practice, 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 practice. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I love that movie too. And
Yes.
and you're right. Women of a certain age right now that went through maybe baby boomer, maybe a little before baby boomer. It wasn't that long ago when there were ads about what a woman should do,
Hmm.
right? Come
Hmm.
and meet your husband with a martini after his
Hmm.
hard day work, and you clean
Hmm.
the house and you raise the kids and you do this, and that's your job. And don't speak and don't have an opinion. God, don't go to work.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
horrible. And so, yes, the habit of putting yourself down or allowing other people to put you down, or
Mhm.
thinking you don't have a voice, or thinking you are not of value for who you are and only in what you do for other people. Who are you truly? That's why I always say I don't have an answering machine. I have a questioning machine. And when you call me, it says, who are you? And what do you want? Women of all ages, can you answer that question for yourself
Mhm.
instead of defining it in terms of what other people want you to do, be?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's the ticket. That's the
for
ticket.
sure.
Yeah. And obviously, Colette and I don't have an issue answering that question.
Got to
But
acknowledge that. Yeah.
but it was a process,
Yeah.
right? It was
Yeah.
a process. I share a lot about, it's not been that long where I don't carry the guilt
Mhm.
of speaking up.
Mhm.
Still,
Mhm.
get people ask me all the time, do you get nervous on stage? Actually, I love, I'm in my element.
Mhm.
But the after, when I get off stage, there's some old conditioning in there. Like,
Yeah.
what, do you have to be so loud? Do you have to be so enthusiastic? Do you have to be so front and center? And
Mhm.
it's like, I want every woman to feel like she can be front and center for her life,
Mhm.
because it's so important, because every single woman on the planet is loving, loved, lovable, one of a kind, wonderful, with
Mhm.
unique talents, gifts, and abilities to
Mhm.
share with the
Mhm.
world. And that's
Mhm.
my final word.
All right. Thank you.
For
Beautiful.
yeah. So how do we find you, Colette, and your book?
Okay. Well, the book is called Both Sides Now: Reflections for Women at Midlife. It's at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, IndieBound. I also have a Kindle Vella, which is a sequential stories, and that's on Kindle Vella, and that's called The Best of Both Sides. So it's kind of an extension. Some of the things I've learned that I wasn't sure about with the book, and through doing the classes and the workshops, and I know what's important to a lot of the women I work with. So thank you.
I just ran to the kitchen. Since we're sharing our books, I thought, I got to show mine too. Where's yours?
Oh,
You don't have it there, huh?
I do. I do.
So,
Where is it?
okay.
Where is
So
it? Where
this
I
is
put it?
8 Ways to Happiness from wherever you who have not seen it. You obviously are new to me, because I am very proudly happy of this book that went #1 bestseller on Amazon, #4 on Denver Post, making me a national bestseller. But the best part of this, well, two things. Habitat for Humanity gets parts proceeds. Forward by Michael Bernard Beckwith, my big brother. Back cover endorsement by Neil Donald Walsh, New York Times bestseller of Conversations with God. And the best part is there's exercises in here that have helped people love themselves. So please do pick this up. They're even selling it at Walmart now, and Target, and all Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, Chapters Indigo, and then of course at my website, drmarissa.life. And it's an audiobook form as well, and you can get that at my site. And there's Both Sides Now. Colette's holding up her beautiful book about, say the whole title with the bottom there.
It's Both Sides Now:
Oh,
Reflections for Women at Midlife.
wonderful. And we're out of time. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from her living room, hoping that it's going to be balanced for you. Peace in, peace out, world. Peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. See
Thanks,
you
everybody.
tomorrow with